And welcome into Closest to the Win, a Hammercast Network production. I am your host, David Stidham, and with me is our resident pro golfer, Drew, at Detroit Dave. We also have the guru who just made it in on the nick of time, our guru himself, the data scientist guru, also known as Nikolai. How you doing, Nick?
Little tired, man. A lot of data to crunch today and tomorrow, but I'm here.
We're not asking for much.
No. It'll all be worth it come Sunday.
Yeah, it's just a 64-man, round robin match play, and then there's another PGA tournament, and we're not going to let anybody miss out on that. So we're going to have both of them. We're doing that one tomorrow night. Pro, I heard you had a big day with a bunch of dang work.
Yeah, work's busy, but this is again match play. Awesome. There should be more match play events, at least 3 to 4 every year. There's just not. I mean, outside of Ryder Cup and President's Cup, but there should be more. It's just a different element of golf.
Is there any better way to bet on golf than live betting match play?
No. I mean, I could sit at the bar and bet on groups all day long.
I am gonna starting Wednesday. I work from home. It's a wonderful blessing. I'm gonna be live betting all week long, and it's gonna be so much fun. But before we even get jumping into it, hey, please do us a solid if you're watching. Please like, subscribe on the YouTube channel, and give us a comment on who you think is going to win. And the reason we ask you to do that is, once you comment on the YouTube channel who is going to win, if you're the first one with that player, you're going to win an autographed picture of that player if he wins the tournament. And so it's a cool deal. Doesn't cost you anything. Just if you want DJ, put down DJ. If you want Rom, put down Rom. If you want Siwoo Kim, put him down there. And if he wins, it's all yours. And so it also helps us out. And so we really would appreciate that. That being said, let's jump into this. All right, guys, it's the match play. It's the Austin Country Club. Have you ever played that one, Pro?
I have not, but it's another die design, as we've touched on. And it's a perfect match play golf course because it gives you a little bit of everything, right? And that's what you kind of want in a match play golf course. You have reachable par fives, you have very difficult par threes. It gives you a little bit of everything, and there's opportunities for birdie, and that's what makes the fireworks go when we talk about match play.
Guru, what are your thoughts on this course?
Well, it's a tale of two. It's two halves put together. You know, you've got the back nine with the 3 par fives, and you've got the front nine where you can score. I mean, it'll be fun to watch. That's all I can say. I mean, it's Pete Dye at its best, and there's some really picturesque holes here. So that I've got the 14th in the background here, and it's one of my favorites. That's why I picked it. Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to dive in and see what's going on. I mean, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, me too. And just for the stats part, the course is 7,100 yards, or just under 7,100, give or take. It is a par 71. There's going to be 64 golfers. This is a lot of fun. This course is a lot of fun. It's going to feel like watching Ryder Cup out there in a way. I will say that there's the way it works. For those that don't understand, there's 64 guys. There's 16 groups of 4. The top 16 groups are led by the top 16 in the official World Golf Rankings. The remaining 3 in each group, this is the greatest part. There's no ranking to it. It's just pull them out of a barrel. And so, it is what it is. And there's definitely some easier groups and there's some harder groups. And I think the easiest group, the easiest path is by far DJ, wouldn't you say?
That ranked up there for me. I didn't think Rom's was too bad either, to be honest with you. I think the match with Palmer would be fun just because, they're buds and they play together, Zurich and things like that. But other than that, I think they have pretty decent pass through for sure.
Yeah, one of the questions we just got in the chat was, is DraftKings set up differently this week for the match play?
The scoring is different for sure, but as far as the salary structure, I mean, everything is still there. You pick the guys you like and try to keep it under 50 grand. I mean, the big thing is, you want to stare at the bracket and just make sure that you have, guys that are going to be able to advance and don't go up against each other too soon. At some point, you're going to probably have to pick somebody a little sooner than you'd like. But as long as the majority of your guys, have a clear path to hopefully, get to Sunday, then that's what you want.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that point up, because if you do not want two guys in the same 4-pod, you just don't, because one of them is going to be eliminated in the first freaking round, and so I mean, I'm kind of going with my 4 guys that I want to go the farthest, and winging it with 5 and 6, and so because that's just the way I'm doing it, and I'm going to have multiple variations of that kind of strategy. But
and they also changed this too, because like the match play used to be like you lose, you could pack your shit on Wednesday, right? Yeah. So at least this format allows everybody to get 3 rounds of golf in. Mm-hmm. As compared to the other ones, you could literally be there on Wednesday and be heading on a plane Wednesday night. So I guess even for us DFS people, like that makes somewhat of a difference. Of course, you need guys that are going to move on, but at least you get the 3 rounds. You can imagine DFS with your guy loses on Wednesday. Multiple guys, you're kind of toast.
You're trying to avoid the Kisner-Kuchar matchup. I mean, sometimes it happens, and we may get unfortunately cursed with having something like that again. But I think they hope somebody interesting will make it through to Sunday to make it, good TV watching. It'll be good TV anyway, just because of everything. But here's hoping we get a better matchup this year.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I think, I kind of worked on my own model like I've been doing. Of course, my model has nothing to do with head-to-head. It has nothing to do with some of the other the metrics that you put in there. And so I definitely took a lot of weight off of it when I compared the 2 models and kind of did my hybrid scoring. Some of the things I did take into effect, and then we're going to let you jump into yours, sure, is I definitely took approach. I take approach as a primary key statistic every single time. I've got off the tee. I've got around the greens. I think the wedges are going to be critical here. I've got wedges in there, short wedges, 100 to 125. I've got eagles, birdie or better, and bogey avoid. Actually, I took out bogey avoidance, but those are some of the key metrics. What are some of the key metrics that you utilized for yours to see if there's any overlap?
So, in the end, I dialed back the stats a little bit because I focused on what I thought I could really nail and what's really going to be there. So everything's dialed down a little bit just because the 2 things I bumped up, I incorporated, the match play stats, but I used for the last 5 years, but I put more weight on the last 4 years just because it's only 16 through 19 here at Austin. But then I used the last 3 Ryder Cups and the last 3 President's Cups just because I wanted about the same time frame. But I only used the singles matches. I didn't use the 4-ball, and I didn't use the whatever the other 4 thing is that escapes me right now, just because there's other people involved. It's the one guy versus the one guy, the ball, the course, that's it. There's none of that, factors involved here, so I didn't want to put him there. So that gives a little bit of weight there. I dialed back up the die aspect of it, and I bumped it up a little bit just because.
What are we calling it? The die specialist?
The die specialist, yeah.
Right, we are. Don't back off that, Nick.
I'm not. Die specialist there. It works, and it's been a pretty good marker for the couple of times we've used it. So that's in there. So the form, everybody's got some long-term forms. So I've dialed that down a little bit just because, you've got your DJ, you've got your, 1 to 64 in there, or 1 to 70, whatever it is with the, the drops and the alternates and stuff. So the long-term is not quite as strong. The short-term and the middle term periods of time are about the same. So really the short and the medium kind of about 3/5 of the form factor, and then the long term is about 3/5 of it. So that's that aspect of it. Now the stats I kind of split. So I split in half between a modified tee to green. So really that was primarily about 50% on the approach, and then it was about 30% around the green and just about 20% off the tee. And then I put in some putting in there, but I didn't focus as much on the Tiff Eagle Bermuda, even though that's what this course is, just because I didn't want to put as much emphasis on it just because it's Texas, it's a different state. So I used some, but I kind of bounced it off with just straight Bermuda too. And then the the other half of the stats that I pretty much use, I kind of did a hybrid of just general stuff. So I've got the driving distance, I've got the accuracy, I've got the scrambling, I've got the bogey avoidance, I've got the 3 putting, and then I've got the strokes gained for par 4 and par 5. And then I kind of shuffled the weights around a little bit. So I don't think any one particular was worth a whole lot, but the group together was about maybe 1/8 of the model, something like that. And then what else is left? I took scoring into account.
That's unbelievable, by the way. This model's incredible. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick.
No, it's okay. So I took scoring in account to a little bit because, you could par through the whole thing, but at some point you're going to have to win the hole. You're most likely not going to win the hole with just a par. So at some point you're going to have to birdie or eagle something. So, I didn't dial it up much, but that's in there too. And then the big thing that I kind of put in the odds component, and then I've got a group escape percentage too. I try to figure out the pods of 4 by themselves and then try to go head to head with the 3 guys you're going to play against. And so I kind of take an aggregate of 3 different sources, if you will, and then I added mine as a 4th and gave that the heavier weight. So then once I figured out the escape percentage for the pot of 4, then I kind of incorporate it to like an odds ranking. The overall odds aren't really too different from what you'd see on any kind of book. They were, pretty close, but it was amazing how close they actually came when you kind of backed it out. So long story short, yeah, it was a lot of creating, adding, subtracting, but there's not as many components as normal, but they're all spread out a little. It's more of a balanced build model for me than normal. There wasn't one heavy weight overall, but I think it turned out okay. It's kind of heavy at the top. There's a couple of, price shots or longer shots that kind of snuck up there. And I have some 2nd tier and 3rd tier golfers in some groups that I like. And the model seems to favor a little bit too. So yeah, it'd be a fun week. And hopefully you can make a pretty good build without having to go chase a $6,000 guy that doesn't make it out of the first round.
Yeah, that's true. One of the interesting things, as you can see the scroll from our projected top 16, look at number 3, Paul Casey. Paul Casey, he's in a tight little group there too with Webb Simpson, and so I find that pretty interesting. And the interesting thing is on my model, Webb was 3rd and Casey was 4th, and so we got Casey 3rd and 4th in both of our models combined, and so that's pretty interesting.
More than one way to skin a cat, but apparently we skinned it. We skinned it pretty good. The interesting thing there, you would think, Webb's got, he's won on the die courses and done really well on the die courses. But when I blew it out, Casey's actually got a little better die form overall. And that was kind of surprising to me. I really would have assumed that Webb would have beat him. So that was kind of interesting there. Then as far as match play, Casey's got a little better record there. They're both, elite, but Casey had him beat by just a hair. Recent form, Casey's got him beat by just a hair because he's done pretty well lately. But head to head, I had Webb about a 51-49 kind of advantage. So it's as close to kind of a 50-50 split as you could get. But then when you kind of put in everything else into perspective, I gave him a little bit of a nudge. So in my estimation, he's got a better shot to come out of the thing than Webb. But really, it's 1 and 1A out of there. And I think 3 out of the last 5 years, I think he's got out Casey, that is, got out of the, first round into the round of 16. So, the history's there too. I kind of like, and so we'll see. The question there is,
no comparison at all
on Harmon. So Harmon's kind of interesting because doing the backstory on him, I guess, he was pretty, an elite match play player before he got to the PGA Tour. College, he was pretty, had a pretty impressive record, and then even up and coming, he played in some match play events too. So he's kind of a sleeper pick for sure. Most of the comp courses here, there wasn't much of a comp.
There's really not.
There wasn't a great comp to put in this. So that's why I gave more of the, die specialist more of a weight than trying to figure out, okay, is this going to be like, Sawgrass? Is this going to be like River Highlands? Is this going to be like, Crooked Stake? Whatever you want to call it. And so I thought the die special was more of a roundabout way to look at it and to give, everybody some weight versus just single out one particular course in particular. But Harmon is interesting. I think that bracket is, or that pot is really, unique, and I think he could make some noise in there. I mean, you don't have to. The big thing is you don't have to win the pod 3-0. You could win the pod 2-1, and if there's 2-1, you could easily end up in a sudden death. Sudden death to come out of there. So a lot of crazy stuff could happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if. I think 2 actually might, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 3 or 4. So we'll see. But yeah, he's on my short list too if I need to use him for salary for sure. But we'll get into it in a little bit for sure. Good question though.
I do want to just say one thing because he said comp course was the players in Amex. Yes, because it's a die course. But what I was saying is this golf course is so completely different than those golf courses. When you look at the actual golf course itself, TPC, excuse me, Austin Country Club, way different than what we saw at TPC. Way less water, way different setup. Although they are die courses, and you have to go off of that, it's kind of a different ball game in Austin.
You could pick a few. You could say, hey, you got the greens here, you got the length here, you got the width of the fairways, and you got this particular rough, and you've got all this kind of stuff. But I didn't really like any of them. I'm sure somebody's going to have a better take. But rather than just pick 1 or 2 that I thought were just kind of I'd rather dial up the die because I feel more comfortable in it.
Love it.
Cool. I was actually going to put up the share screen with the spreadsheet, but for some reason I am having a little bit of a struggle. But because I'm ready to jump into this, you guys ready to jump into the?
Yeah, let's do it.
To the actual no, so I guess we're going to do it a little bit different this time. We're not going to do a top plays and fades from the 10 all the way down to the 6 because it's just so different. And so what I thought we would do is just go right through the brackets and talk about all 16 brackets and what we could see coming out of each bracket. I'm not saying we're going to fill out the entire chart, but we could go through it as a team. And then we can also post our top plays tomorrow when we do our article on some of those things. Yeah, thank you all, Falcon. Yeah, I had a great week. And yes, I do have money to spend. I have a lot of bills. And so anyway, so let's just jump into it, man. I'm going to go ahead and talk through this. We're going to start with Group 1. And this is what I was talking about, man. You cannot get an easier group than this. I mean, Dustin Johnson, by far the clear number 1. His group is Kevin Na, decent player, $7,100 player versus an 11.5 player. But you also got 2 lower 6K players in the same bracket, Adam Long at 6K and Robert McIntyre at 65. I mean, his biggest challenge is going to come from a Kevin Na at 7,100. I mean, is this just chalk and then Na and the other 2 guys aren't going to win anything? Or
I mean, in theory, yeah, it's chalk. And I mean, I'll take Dustin Johnson, but the guy that I like is Robert McIntyre. I'm going to take Dustin Johnson, but I do think that you're going to see it's not going to be just chalk. DJ's not necessarily a fantastic match play player anyway. I looked at the model and he's not, I mean, he's played a lot of matches, right? I'm not saying he's bad, but I would think Robin McIntyre out of those 4 would be the guy. I'm still got to go with DJ though. It's hard because like you said, the path of resistance seems just so little. But again, when you're the number 1 player in the world, maybe the cards drop, when they pull these things out of a hat, maybe they got a little sandpaper on the ones that they want you to pull.
You think? That can't possibly be the case. I just can't believe that.
So, I mean, Na's kind of like the anti Dustin Johnson, so, you've got long versus short, you've got the guy with the course history versus the guy that doesn't, you've got the speedy putter, you've got the deliberate guy. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think DJ is probably maybe like a, 60% chance to win, 60-40 split right there. But, and then he's probably got a 75, maybe 25 chance against Long and probably like a 70-30 maybe against McIntyre. So he should win. But if not, maybe he goes 2-1, but the question is, where does he lose? I mean, I think Na would have to come out like gangbusters, but he's just the ultimate wild card. And, if DJ comes out motivated and just, puts a can of whoop ass on him pretty quick. I mean, the match may not take very long. The longer it goes, I think it, maybe benefits Na a little bit. But, I mean, if he comes out, if DJ comes out quick, I mean, Na just may throw in the towel for a line out. But yeah, I mean, I think you take DJ. I can't take Na. I just can't. I mean, DJ's one here. And then, McIntyre's interesting for sure. I mean, I do like the fact that, he's got that whole Scotland thing going on, and it's got that Scotland feel in the course, and you got the whole left-hander thing. So, it should, if anybody pulls any kind of shock here, it would be him. And maybe McIntyre pulls 2 wins out and, beats Long and beats Na. But I don't think he gets out of the pod, though. I mean, I just can't see it happening. I wouldn't waste your money on those aren't 6K plays I would play. I mean, you either play DJ, or if you're going to venture out and get crazy, you play Na. But I think you take DJ.
Okay. All right. Let me. How does that look? That doesn't look good at all, does it?
It does not. I'm going to go with, I don't know, Nick. What do you think?
Yeah. Forget that. All right.
Appreciate the effort.
If you guys are following along at home, please follow along at home. We're gonna go to round 2. Justin Thomas, who is probably my favorite pick to win this thing. He's got a little bit of a tougher road though in the first round. We've got Justin Thomas, Louis Oosthuizen. So far he hasn't withdrawn. Kevin Kisner and Matt Kuchar, and Kevin Kisner. He is a backyard gambler. He's a gambling man. He grew up playing this type of golf, and he won this thing 2 years ago. Louis, he can always put up a huge round. And Cooch is also a great match play. I mean, Guru, break this one down for us.
So this is probably the craziest bracket of all to me, because, when I drew it up, so Kisner's number 2 as far as the match play, the way I drew it out. Oosthuizen is 3, Kuchar's 8, and JT is like 23. And so I think a lot of people, you've got the people that are just like, oh my God, JT just kicked ass at the Players. He's going to win. His irons are back. He's motivated. He's going to play. But I think you've also got a large contingent of people that are looking to bet against him. And this is one of those pods where I think any of the 3 are going to make viable, bets. When I split it out, I mean, I had, JT about a 1/3 shot at coming out, but then I had, Oosthuizen and Kisner about a quarter shot, and then I had Kuchar picking up the rest, and that's actually pretty close, and it's kind of disturbing for a pretty, high seed too.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if it came to sudden death, but if you want something interesting, I actually have Kuchar coming out of here.
Did you really?
Yeah, 100%.
What about you, Pro? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, to the point, Kevin Kisner. And you touched on this, 7,100 yards. This golf course allows everybody into it. This isn't, you just can't just bomb it. Everybody's going to have their play in here. They're going to have their opportunities to make birdies. I would want to pick Kevin Kisner. The Matt Kuchar pick, I'm not certain of that. I think his form's been shit, but I'm not going to hate you on it. But I'm gonna go chalk. I'm gonna go JT here. But it's hard. I refuse to bet Louis. We talked about this. He's ruined he's on at least a 3-month hiatus from being bet on. I would love to see Matt Kuchar come out of here for the record, but I'm going to go chalk, sadly, and nothing exciting here from my end.
Yeah, I'm with you, guy. I'm with you. I think Justin Thomas is going to take this. I don't think he's going to have a threat. I believe his irons are way too good. And I think all that stuff, all that baggage is kind of behind him. He had that his grandfather died. He had that incident on camera. He had the whole Tiger of his best friend have the accident, and he kind of went away for a couple of weeks, and he came back strong, and he looked, amazing 2 weeks ago. And so I think he's got the mo, and he's got the irons, and I think he's going to be tough to beat. So.
For the record, I don't love him, though. You seem like I don't know if I love him, because Justin Thomas is a guy that can just show up and just not be there. And I don't know. I don't like this pod at all. But I like your confidence, so I'm rolling with your confidence. Let's go, JT.
All right. Let's get to the next one. We got John Rahm, chalk. But I really like what's going on here. Ryan Palmer and Shane Lowry, and then you got Sebastian Munoz. Now, obviously, Sebastian Munoz is at the bottom, $6,100. But you got 2 low 7K guys. But They're popping off in my model pretty good. Guru, what do you got on this? I mean, obviously Rahm is the huge favorite here, but what are your thoughts?
Palmer's the interesting one, and everybody loves, Lowry for sure. Probably pretty good out fucking day. Probably pretty good on Kuchar not tipping the waiters for sure. I mean, to me, it's Rahm and everybody else. But the nice thing is, I think everybody else is fairly equal. So, I mean, if Rahm has an off day and somebody just gets hot and catches fire, and I mean, I think anybody else could come out there. I don't think there's a clear-cut second choice, but I can't fault you for going there, but for me, yeah, I'm much more comfortable taking, Rahm here. I mean, he was the number one match play guy that I've got. I mean, he was number 2 in form, number 2 in stats. And then the only thing that, shook off a little was the whole die thing. But, once he gets out of the, first round, I mean, I think he could whip these 3 guys pretty good. Even if he goes 2-1 in the pod, I think he could still win. And I don't really give a crap if he goes 3-0 or not. He just needs to come out of the pod. And then, it's every man for himself after that.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about Ryan Palmer, though, in this field, he's 30th in approach. He's half. That's half the field. He's 13th off the tee. What I like is he's 4th around the greens, and he's 5th in birdie or better. It's not. I'm sorry. He's 6th off the tee, 13th around the green, and 16th in birdie or better, and 17th in approach. He's got some pretty good numbers, and he ranked pretty high in the model I put together. The only thing I'm worried about is the putting at 42nd in the field, but I think he's going to have the most. I actually think he's going to finish second in this pod, and Lowry's going to finish third, possibly even fourth. Pro, what are your thoughts? I know you like Lowry.
No, I liked Lowry last week. I did.
Okay.
He shit the bed. He shit the bed on the back 9 on Saturday and kind of shot himself out of the tournament. I'm with Nick on this one. This one's chalk to me. Jon Rahm's just the way better player out of these 4 guys. And again, if we were talking about a one and done type scenario, you could see it. But it's hard for me to take anybody but Jon Rahm. I mean, we don't even need to bring up Jon Rahm's statistics. He is as rock solid as they come.
I know.
Sebastian Munoz is an interesting name. I know the model does like him as well as your model, but it's just like, hey man, we got Jon Rahm here. It's hard to rock anybody else but Rambo.
I got you. All right, so let's move on. Colin Morikawa. He's got Billy Horschel, Max Homa, and JT Poston. And before I give it to Guru, Max Homa just fell apart in my rankings. I gotta really dig into why, but he was really low. What are your thoughts on this group?
Tougher field. I mean, you throw, 64 of the world's best golfers in there, when he's normally playing in fields with, let's say half that, he's going to look that much better, but he leveled off kind of right in about the middle for me. So that makes sense. I mean, you take out 30 golfers, then he'll be back in the top 10. So, I mean, he didn't do anything different. It's just a tougher field than he's been in. This is actually one of those pods I actually really kind of like. But at some point now, if you're betting, I mean, if you're playing this to bet or just to look for outright winners or matches or something, that's kind of one thing. But then, if you're playing this for DFS, then you start to look for possibilities for lower priced golfers that maybe have a little bit of upside that you could do something. I kind of like Morikawa, but the way it split it out. So Morikawa was 17th for me overall, but then I had Billy Horschel 26th. So believe it or not, and the biggest difference between Morikawa and Billy Horschel. So Morikawa's got the form and the stats, but Billy Horschel's got the match play experience, and Billy Horschel's actually got some die experience too. So I actually kind of like Billy Horschel. So he was my pick to come out of here.
Really?
Yeah,
100%.
Wow. What about you, Pro?
Max Homa. Yep. Still rocking back.
You're going with Homa?
Yep, I sure am. And JT Poston, by the way, is a sleeper. I considered picking JT Poston. Listen, it's hard to pick against Colin Morikawa. We thought that great things were happening with his putting stroke after concession. Last time we saw him, that shit was a little down. So I worry about that. Again, it's picking hairs here. Billy Horschel, he might get so pissed off he punches his fellow competitor. I'm going to go with Max Homa. and he's had a week off or 2 weeks off. This is a very difficult grouping here, but I will go with Max Homa.
All right, so this is the first grouping where we have 3 different picks. I'm going to stick with chalk. I like Colin Morikawa. I think he's so good with those irons, and all he has to do is just putt a little bit better. And so I'm all over Morikawa. As a matter of fact, I like him a lot. I like him to maybe he might have to face Hovland here in the second round, but we'll see where that goes.
Oh, you're going to pick Hovland? That's shocking. You love Victor Hovland.
It's actually kind of close for me. That one's closer than the Morikawa one because I also like Answer this week a lot, and we'll get into that in just a second. But this is the first one. We have a three-way split on that group. That's pretty interesting. Let's get to big boy Bryson, Siwoo Kim, Pete Dye, of course, Tommy Fleetwood, and Antoine Rosner. We'll start with you, Pro.
I'm going Bryson. I have a thing right now where I feel like I just can't fade Bryson at this point. Now, what's the guy in that grouping that you're telling me that I should be intimidated by at this point? I just don't see it. And I also think in match play that Bryson holds the key where he can outdrive you by 40 yards. And that is a mental hurdle you have to get over. I mean, in all seriousness, when it comes to match play, when somebody's just hitting the ball 40, 50 yards past you, that can grind on you mentally, especially when it's a one-on-one. I'm going to take Bryson. I feel pretty confidently about Bryson coming out of that one.
Yeah, you should. I mean, he's really, really strong chalk. Guru, what are your thoughts on this pod?
So it's kind of interesting. So I'm with you on Bryson, and you hit the nail on the head for me that, until he gives you a reason to, take a pass, based on he's played the last, couple, I'm probably with you, not going to take a pass. But, do you side with Siwoo for the stats and maybe the die thing? Do you jump on Fleetwood because, he's actually got some okay form and he's got the name recognition? Or do you jump with Rosner just because he's won like 2 of the last, I think 4 or 5 tourneys he's played in? Interesting thing, Fleetwood's got a slight edge on Bryson kind of head to head. And, I think it was the President's Cup when they had that 4-ball match when he stuck him with the irons and beat him like 5-4, something like that. So, I mean, I could see people jumping on Fleetwood and part of me wants to, but, Bryson just ranks out. And I think he can just, I have a hard time believing Rosner's going to come over here and just do anything. I wouldn't be shocked if he went 0-3. So I'm just going to push him aside. Siwoo could hold his own if the whole, die thing plays up, but let's just assume Bryson has 2 right there. The Fleetwood match is the interesting one, but even if he loses that, then you would just assume that Fleetwood has to split with, Siwoo and Rosner, and maybe he beats Rosner and maybe he loses to Siwoo. So you've got a potential, sudden death thing there. I still think Bryson's going to win. I mean,
Fleetwood he hasn't really been that awesome this year. He just hasn't. I mean, he was fantastic at the end of last year. He hasn't been that great.
I've been happily fading Fleetwood, and it's been paying off for me.
Just keep on keeping on. He'll win the week. None of us are on him, and then we'll consider it after. But until then,
yeah, that's right. Exactly. That's the way it works every time. I tell you what, guys. I mean, obviously, Bryson's the class act. He's the class play right here. And I'll probably end up playing him more than not. But there's going to be a few lineups where I'm going to have Siwoo in there. Siwoo is a Pete Dye guy. Siwoo also he's a money motivated guy. He's a funny guy. Siwoo cracks me up, and but he comes to play, and this is the kind of course, this is the kind of spotlight I think he likes. I'm not saying Siwoo's going to go out there and beat Bryson, and that's not my bet. But I do have a few lineups that are going to have some Siwoo Kim in them, and we'll see where that goes. You can't win a GPP without some real big risk. You just can't. We were able to capitalize on that last week when we took CT Pan, 0.86% owned. Helped me take down the title. So, you're going to have some of those types of plays to win. Obviously, you can cash without doing that, but if you want to win, you're going to have to get risky. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Xander Schofley, who I have not been impressed with this year. He just doesn't seem to be doing what he normally does. Maybe he gets it together. you can break into his whole head-to-head thing. But he's got Jason Day, Scotty Scheffler, and Andy Sullivan, and to me, this is a really tricky one. And you guys know my man crush on Scotty Scheffler, so you know where I'm going, especially since this is a home course for Scotty Scheffler. I mean, this is where he grew up. This is where he played college. He's played, I think, 100 tournaments on this course. He knows every angle of every hole that's on the course. And so I'm going to be big on Scotty Scheffler to win this pod. What do you guys think? Guru? It's
a sudden death pod for me. I don't see how there's a clear-cut guy that comes out of here with 3. I wouldn't be, somebody's it's going to be 2-1. I just don't know which 2 it's going to be, but I actually sided with Jason Day, to be honest with you. I'll take the die stats. I'll take the course history. I'll just take the, he's on record as saying he likes the harder courses, and he's on record for showing up. He likes to come for the big stuff. So he's what Scheffler strives to be down the road. It's just that, he's not there yet, but, I'm not saying Jason Day is right. I'm not saying he won't withdraw or the putter won't turn into crap, but he's working with Como, and he's still got the mixed bag of tricks with the club assortment. So, we'll see what comes out, but he doesn't need to shoot a 75. He just needs to, play better than the other guy in a couple of holes. And I think he could do that for sure.
Pro, what are you thinking on this?
Jason Day. I'm 100% with Nick. This is a damn tough grouping. It really is. If you look at it, Jason Day's a 2-time winner of the event, 2014, 2016. This is a tough one. Again, you like Scotty Scheffler for the simple fact he makes a ton of birdies, which is very important when we're talking about match play. And as much as, Xander maybe hasn't lived up to, Xander still had a decent year.
I'm not saying he sucks, but every time I play the guy, he disappears.
Completely understand. As far as going into Andy Sullivan, I don't have any interest in doing that.
No.
So I'm going to roll with Jason Day, a guy whose short game is as good as there is on the PGA Tour. And I think, again, birdies, up and downs, your short game is really going to be the vital point this week.
Okay, we're going to get to the next one because we're going to go through this bracket, and it's going to get a lot tougher in the second round here, guys. Okay, let's go ahead and keep jamming. Patrick Reed, Joaquin Niemann, Christian Bezuidenhout, and Bubba Watson. Very interesting bracket here. I think, I'm going to go with Joaquin Niemann myself. I really like what he's been doing, and that's my pick. I'm not a Patrick Reed guy. And Patrick Reed did not do well in my model. And so, he's a great player. And every time I say something like this, how can you not like Patrick Reed? I don't like him in this situation as much as you guys probably will. But I do like Niemann in this situation. As a matter of fact, Niemann is my favorite to win this pod. What about you, Pro?
Patrick Reed chalk all day long for me. Not to disagree with you at all. Patrick Reed is the best match play player that I've maybe ever seen. This was one of those that I said, hey, boom, Patrick Reed, move on.
Guru?
So I'm with Reed too. He's a slight he should be a slight favorite with, Niemann. He should be a slight favorite with, Bubba. But, they're both close. It's one of those, and I think he'll beat Bezuidenhout too. So, he could go 3-0. He could go 0-3 just as easily. But his, match play record is, pretty decent. He was 5th in the model that I had, 7th in form, and he was 11th on the die. That was enough to just, I don't think it'll be 3-0, not even close. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if he lost, but I think that Reed versus Niemann will probably be one of the matches of the tournament for me, to be honest with you. I'm really quite curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to it. And we did get a comment says Bez has some good putting on these greens. Reed or Bez? Obviously, I'm going to take Reed over Bez, but there's going to be a couple of shockers in this tournament. There's going to be some big time shockers, and nobody likes to talk about Bez because nobody can pronounce his last name, but he's actually a really good player. And so, what are your thoughts on that guy? We've been talking about him every week.
The South Africans can play. I mean, whether it's Grace, whether it's Oosthuizen, whether it's Fratelli. I mean, I was going to say Nick Price, but he was from the other African country or whatever over there. And so they're all known for the wind. They're all known for the harder courses, and they usually show up. Bazoonhout is a pretty good putter. Young guy. He's got a pretty interesting backstory. But yeah, I mean. A good point off Hockaday. Match play is an absolute crapshoot. You wake up, you have a bad day, you could be down 3 holes really quick, and then you're stuck trying to grind it out before you run out of holes to catch up on. So, I mean, if he gets going with the putter, and that's the thing. I think the front is supposed to move through Wednesday night and the Thursday. So, as long as you don't totally, even if you screw up your opening round, I think Thursday will be the interesting day for everybody because I think it'll sort of equalize. So hopefully you can get out to a fast start, get your 1-0 on Wednesday, on the chance you drop it Thursday, knowing that you have to go back Friday. Because, if you're down 0-1, there's a good chance you'll be 0-2 by Thursday and drawn dead into Friday and just not give a crap at that point. But
That's great point.
He's on my Euro watch list for sure. I just don't like if he was in another pod, I would probably be on him as kind of a sleeper pick. I don't want to call him a sleeper because nobody in this field is really a sleeper, but there are other lower price guys I like to take a shot at. He's just not one that I feel really comfortable in, but I couldn't fault you if you wanted to.
All right, we're going to move on. Terrell Hatton, Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood, and Matt Wallace. Pro.
This is a hell of a grouping. I mean, it really is. I mean, this is. I don't know how you're telling me that they pulled these 4 names out of a hat outside of Terrell Hatton. It just seems like a Euro chalk game
in the same pod. I mean, that blew my mind when I saw it too.
It's I'm going to take a little bit of a flyer here with a C player and Sergio Garcia. Sergio's form's been pretty solid. It's tough here. You would think, Lee Westwood, I feel like we kind of saw it last week. It seems to be fading a little bit, fatigue setting in. It's really been a long stretch for a lot of these guys. Matt Wallace is such a damn wild card. I just can't pull the trigger on Matt Wallace because you really never know if you're going to get an MC or he's going to be on the leaderboard on Sunday. I'm going to go with Sergio as the C player in this group. And I think this might be one of the better pods that there is.
Guru?
Sergio for me too. Match play they had on the model, Sergio was 9 and Hatton was 18. And they're both about a 50-50, head-to-head favorite now. And yeah, Sergio's got a house in Austin. So, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he played the course a little bit and is familiar with the weather, their terrain and all that stuff. And the last 2 years here, he's got out of the first round. So it won't be easy, but I'll take a shot.
We have a sweep. I am also on Sergio, and my number 2 out of here is Westwood. And I've got Hatton 3rd. And so it's just what I've been seeing. It's what my eyeball test has been showing me in the last few weeks. I'm big into recent form. I know match play is a totally different animal, but I really like what I see with Sergio right now. And so it'll be fun to watch what happens here when he has to play DeChambeau, and we're going to get to that one in just a few minutes. All right, move on. Paul Casey, Webb Simpson. We kind of talked on that earlier, but we didn't make our play. Taylor Gooch and Mackenzie Hughes. I'll just go ahead and start. I've got Paul Casey coming out of this. And the funny thing is we're going to get to the outright bets. I'm actually outright betting Webb Simpson and Casey, both. And they're both in the same bracket. I think one of those two has a chance to make a move. And I really like the numbers on both of them. And so, but that's just on the betting side. Obviously, I'm not playing both of those guys in DraftKings because they're in the same pot. But I'm taking Casey for the win because he ranked highest on the Guru's model, and he was one higher than Webb in my model. So that's my 2. What about you, Guru?
Nothing against Gooch and nothing against Hughes, but thanks for playing. Have a nice day.
I know it's the two legends in that pod.
Depending on how many brackets you do, for me, it's I would say 50% of them, you take Casey, and probably 50% of them you take Webb. But for me, Casey's probably got the slight edge. And I covered the points before, but I don't think there's anything wrong with Webb. But it's like 51-49 for me. So yeah, Casey for me.
Pro
Casey.
All right, so that's a solid sweep. We're going to be going around that one in just a few minutes. All right, Patrick Cantley. He ranks really high in my model. Hideki Matsuyama, who actually a guru would be happy to know Hideki went really high in my model, and I just had to wince, but I can't not put him in there if that's what it is. And then we've got Brian Harmon. We just had some chatter about him, and Carlos Ortiz. We'll start with Pro.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go Brian Harmon out of this group before.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am.
I love it. I love it.
He's been rock solid lately. He's kind of a bulldog. He's not going to outdrive you. He reminds me a lot of Kevin Kisner. I actually think he may have went to Georgia as well, so he might actually be a real bulldog. He's the D player in this group. Patrick Cantley wasn't great the last time we saw him. He had that miss to the right. I'm not saying that hasn't been fixed since we've seen it, but this is going to be one of those where I'm not going to go chalk. I'm going to go all the way down to the D player, Brian Harmon.
That's a bold pick, Guru. What do you think of that pick, and what's your pick?
I think it's a 3-man group for sure. I mean, of course, watch Carlos Ortiz just kick everybody's ass, but I think they're all pretty, evenly matched. I mean, when I drew it out, I had 35 for Cantley, 27 for Decky, and 23 for Harmon. So, I mean, that's pretty close considering that I had him 6th, 21st, and 30th in the model. I'm not happy about it just because I'm kind of a bit of I don't want to say homer guy with Decky, but I'm going to take Cantley and close my eyes and hopefully it works out. He's just the all-around game's been there, and I'm just going to try to overlook the last, turning or two and hope that the before that is what really, what's going to have it. And
Cantley should win that group.
He's the class of that.
He's the class of that group. His ass should win that group. I just can't. You're right. I mean, I want him to go with Cantley, but shit, why not? Flip the coin.
I mean, he's 5th
in my model. Somebody somewhere.
Exactly.
He's 6th in Guru's model. He's 5th in my model. How can we take anybody but him in that pod? But you got to take those long shots, just like I took Siwoo Kim. You got to take some of those long shots because not everybody. There's so many people going to be playing chalk. You got to figure it out. And like I said, it's a crap. We all know it's a crapshoot, but it's fun, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Rory McIlroy, Cam Smith, Lanto Griffin, and Ian Poulter.
Hey, I'll talk a day. You want to take this one?
Well, we already know that Rory's already working out to carry that trophy. And so I'm going to go ahead and go with Guru.
So I'm going to take Rory just because, but, it's like 1 and 1A for me because, Cam's a lot closer than probably people realize. But, I mean, Rory's 4th in the die and 5th in match play. And this is the kind of thing that, I'm a little concerned about the driver and in the wonkiness at the last turning, but the last turning kicked everybody's ass, so to speak. So I'm not overly worried, but he could have a couple of bad holes, and all he just needs to do is get right on a couple of them. And the nice thing is he's playing Poulter in the first round. Nothing against Poulter, but I think if he needs 18 holes to get right, I think he caught a break there. I think he'd been in trouble if he played the other Cam or Lanto in the first round. So yeah, it may be 2-1, but I think Rory will come out.
Pro.
Yeah, the group of death's right. I mean, this is a sneaky four guys. I'm going to fade Ian Poulter because of his tantrum he threw in the bunker last week. I'm actually going to take Cam Smith here, and one because the hair is fantastic.
He's got the best mullet on the tour,
as we've mentioned. But Rory hasn't. Last time we saw Rory, he had his 2-way miss. We talked about it. I've talked about it to nauseum. Doesn't mean he hasn't fixed it. I just don't know if Rory is good enough for me to take chalk on. I'm going to roll with Cam Smith on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Rory. I think when Rory's playing heads up, he's a little bit different mindset than when he's out there playing the field. And he's done very well heads up. And so I think he still believes and he can make an argument that he's top 3 player in the world. And I think he's going to go out there feeling very confident. Cam Smith is playing really good golf. But I'm taking Rory McIlroy and I think he's going to win all 3 matches and get all 3 points. So that's where I'm at on that one. And let's keep What's that?
That's a bold take. That's a hot take. He wins all 3 matches.
Yeah.
In that group.
Yeah. I think he's going to beat Cam Smith, Griffin, and Poulter. I think he's going to do it.
All right.
And so I just think he's the best player. And so and I just believe this is a situation for him, and I think he's going to flex a little bit. All right, Tony Finau, Jason Kokrak, Will Zalatoris, and Dylan Fratelli. This is a really interesting group because people don't realize Dylan Fratelli played at Austin. I mean, he's college. That's where he went to college. And so he has a home field advantage. Guru, what are your thoughts on this group?
In true March Madness fashion, this is one of those 5-12 games, and this is one of those where maybe you look for the upset. It's interesting because Finau's the one with the official match play scoring, so to speak, and the other guys don't really have anything, so you can't really put as much emphasis on that. So then you start looking at stats, and you look at form, and you could go a whole lot of different ways here. I mean, Finau should win, but this is one of those places I think that you look at really any of the other 3 guys as viable options to try to save some salary if you really favor other pods and plays and things like that. So the gambler in me loving March Madness is I'm going to take Jason Kokrak, and I'm just going to sum it up. If he can win in Vegas, why not here?
All right, Pro.
I'm actually going to throw a couple more chips into the table here. I'm going to take Dylan Fratelli.
I knew
I'm going to take the D player. I'm trying to throw some sleepers out here, some ridiculous picks, but I actually do think Dylan Fratelli at match play. Again, the familiarity with the Austin area, playing at the University of Texas. I'm going to take him out of this group. I know this is setting up for you to just go your Will Zalatoris route, as you love this guy, but I'm interested to see what you say here. But I'm gonna go ahead with Dylan Fratelli.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take Will Zalatoris. Why would I want to go off script now? I mean, I think
this is your thing, man. Will's your guy.
I think the pressure's off. I think he's not anywhere favored to win this thing. Tony's the chalk, and I think he's going to go out there and he's going to let it loose, man. He's got the skill set. He's got the irons. He's got the short game. I mean, the guy's a baller. He just needs to put it all together, and he doesn't have to beat an entire field this week. And so I'm going with Will Zalatoris, and like you guys are shocked. All right. Not one. The shocking part is that none of us took Finau. That's the shocking part.
I wasn't overall impressed with the way he played the last time he was out, and I know that he had the run of second or something like that. But eventually, we got to throw out somebody that's not chalk, and this is kind of the pod that I like.
All right, Victor Hovland, Answer, Streelman, and Weisberger. Guru.
I think this is one of those groups where, everybody's either going to jump on Hovland or everybody's going to jump on Answer. I would say don't necessarily sleep on, Weisberger or Streelman, because they could pop one and just screw somebody's, pod up. But I mean, you make a case for Answer with the match play, or you make a case for Hovland with the stats and the form and everything else. I think the chalky salary saver play is going to turn out to be Answer, but I'm going to take Hovland. I'm going to let everybody else chase that dream, and if it burns me, it burns me. But I'm going to take a chance on the sleepers in other areas. So yeah, Hovland for me. I'm not worried about the lack of match play because I'm sure he did some things in college, and I'll take the form and the stats. And I know Answer lives in Texas and all that jazz too, and good for him. But yeah, Hovland and nail biter.
Pro.
Yeah, I'm going to Abraham Answer. And there's no reason to not pick Victor Hovland. I mean, he's probably the most rock solid tee to green player out there at this point. But close behind is Abraham Answer. And match play wise, the model likes him. I think he's due to have his breakout week. And I think this might be it. Again, the golf course is kind of open for everybody. Distance isn't necessarily going to hinder you one way or the other. I will go Answer slightly over Vicky Hovland.
Well, I'm going to go. This is a tough one for me.
You're not taking Victor Hovland? Oh my God.
This is a tough one for me because, I mean, in Guru's rankings, we've got Hovland right there sitting at 13, and we've got Answer sitting at 16. And then when I combine the rankings, actually in my rankings, and this will blow your guys' mind, I've got Answer 8th overall and Hovland 14th. And when I look at the difference between the two and the metrics between the two, I got to go Answer. I'm going with Pro here, and I will be forever hounded if Hovland goes on. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to have Hovland. I'm playing multiple lineups, but for purpose of this show, I'm going to go with Answer because he makes sense according to the charts, according to the models that we put together, and so I'm trying to stick to the models because they've been working for us, and so that's why I choose Answer. And we're getting down to it. We've got Berger, Harris English, Brendan Todd, and Eric Van Rooyen.
This pod sucks.
It really does. Go ahead and give us yours. I hope it's Harris English, Pro.
It's not. I wanted to take Harris English. I mean, this pod probably is the worst pod. But I don't want to do this, but I'm going to take Xander Berger because he's the best player from this pod. It's hard because Berger's coming off of what we know is the injury. But again, if the dude was smart, he would just take his injury, take a week off, cash the guaranteed money at the WGC. But I do think that he's Eric Van Rooyen was not good last week. We saw his kind of collapse. Harris English, which he had one top 25, I think it was Kapalua earlier in the year, and Brendan Todd hasn't had a top 10 all year. So for this one, I got to go with Daniel Berger. Worry about Berger's ribs. Oh, that sounds like a McRib joke or something, but you're right. But I have to take him. This pod sucks. There's nobody I felt comfortable taking, and that's why I went with Daniel Berger.
Guru? Berger?
You know, with English withdrawing and Berger withdrawing, and then just the interesting play between the two of them, you just kind of throw your hands up and just say, what the hell? I mean, if everything is right on the table, I mean, Berger should win. I mean, he could play Wednesday. He could forfeit Thursday if he just doesn't feel like playing. And as long as he wins on Friday, he'll be in the sudden death. I mean, and, if he was smart, he might do something like that, depending on who he ends up playing Thursday. But, I mean, I'm taking Berger because I don't trust English. I think Todd could be kind of sneaky, but I don't know that he could get 2 wins. And, people have been waiting on, Eric Van Rooyen for a while. And, I know he went to Minnesota and all that jazz, but in one of these weeks he'll put it together. But, I don't think it's this week.
I think Berger wins all 3 rap matches, and he plays well. And so I got Berger for sure. I got him ranked 7th, and I've got the closest one to him, Harris English, ranked 30th. That's too big of a gap. And then I've got Brendan Todd 45th and Van Rooyen 52nd. This is almost as unbalanced as the DJ pod. And so if Berger goes out and plays his game, he's not going to have any problem with this pod. I think he's going to be fine. I think he took that extra week off. He could have played last week, and he chose to rest those ribs. I think he'll be ready to go. All right, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, Corey Connors, and Matt Wolfe. This one's fascinating to me. Guru, I want you to start here because we already know what Pro's going to do.
For me, this was like the pot of death, about them being perfectly honest, because, I mean, the way I had him ranked, I had him 19th, 24th, 34th, and then 52nd. Starting from the bottom up, Wolfe is 52 just because, hurt and sucked and all that other stuff. And he, if the time off did him good and he comes out right, the 52nd could be kind of low, but let's just assume that, he's the low man in the group. Where do you go with these 3? You go with Connors that probably, fits the course pretty well. And he's got the current stats to back it up. You've got Spieth that's got the, match play experience and sort of the, die backing. And then you've got Fitzpatrick with the form, and, the Euros play, pretty, play some match play, but Spieth's got him beat by a bit. This is another one of those I think could go 2-1, and 2 of the 3 end up playing some sort of sudden death thing.
I agree with that.
When in doubt, I tend to default to the die in the match play. So, Jordan Spieth.
All right. Go ahead and pro. Give it to me.
Yeah, this actually, I thought so. I was going with Spieth no matter what, but this draw was as good as I could hope for with Jordan Spieth. Again, home game, knows the golf course. This bracket when it came out, I couldn't have been more excited. He avoided any of the big guys. He's the D player. Can we say that he's the D player in this group? And this one's completely easy to me. I think he's the best player in this group. I know everybody knows that I love Spieth, but I'm not going to come on here and just give you Jordan Spieth because I love Jordan Spieth and he's going to go shoot 84. I think he's in the best form. You could argue Matt Fitzpatrick. You could argue Corey Connors. But I honestly feel Jordan Spieth comes out of this round, and I think he does it pretty easily.
Yeah, and I get it. And when I initially put my cheat sheet together in my model, I had Corey Connors, and then I started looking a little bit further, and a little bit further, and a little bit further, and I still have Corey Connors, based on a few things, and then I thought a little bit more and a little bit more, and then I realized what Jordan is best, what he's able to do around the green. And I think they're both great tee to green, but I think what Jordan can do around the green, and as far as scrambling, and he could putt from any part of the green. I am going to go ahead and do a clean sweep and take.
Here we are. The trifecta. It's a beautiful day.
March 22nd.
But I will mention that I will have some Connor and I will have some lineups with Fitz. This is one of those pods where I honestly believe that it's a 3-man pod, and I think Spieth is the royalty in the pod, and I think he has the chance to. I think he's going to be able to do it, but it would not shock me, and I would not be like, oh my God, what an upset, because that wouldn't be considered an upset if one of those two guys pulled away.
It was the closest 3 I had. I had it 30, 28, 26, and I thought that was just amazingly close. I mean, you could take any of the top 3, really.
All right, last one, and then we're going to go quickly through these finals. Sungjae M, even though I'm having fun, this is a lot of fun. I think this is adding a lot of value, hopefully, to our audience. Sungjae M, Russell Henley played well last week. Not well enough. Leishman and Victor Perez.
The group stinks.
I mean,
this group stinks too.
I mean, Sungjae, obviously, I mean, I don't see how anybody's going to take anybody other than Sungjae, but let's hear it, Guru.
Russell Henley.
Oh, my.
Yep.
I'm taking Russell Henley, too.
We're both taking Henley.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
so you're forcing me to have to take Henley in our pick here.
No, we're not. There's no forcing.
Well, no, I mean, we're going to go with the majority. The majority rules on all these picks, and so you guys got 2, I got 1. And so I cannot believe you guys are taking Henley over Sebastian, because Sebastian is. I'm just telling you, man, he's right there.
He was not good with his irons at all last week. His putter saved him. Sungjae, what he does is he's a ball striker. His putter saved him. His putter does not save him. It's a rare occasion. Based off what I saw last week, I feel fine with Russell Henley. I feel good about it. And he's kind of a bulldog, too. I think another Georgia guy, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
If I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. For whatever reason, I like Russell Henley with Nick.
Okay, so we've gone through all the pods. Let's go ahead and jump through these this next round, and we're going to go a little quicker because we've already talked about the players and what we feel about them. Let's go with we'll start at the top. Dustin Johnson. Now Dustin Johnson's second round is Henley. Are we just all going to just take DJ right here?
I'm going to go with DJ.
Yeah, I mean, could be interesting, but yeah, I'll take DJ.
Okay, next up is Casey versus, and we ended up with Sergio Garcia. Paul Casey or Sergio Garcia?
Paul Casey for me.
Casey for you, Pro?
Oh, Sergio for me.
You're a Sergio?
Yep.
I'm on Casey as well, so it's Casey. All right, that takes us to Bryson. And then we had a 3-way split on the comp between Bryson between Finau, Kokrak, and Zalatoris. No,
I was going to take
Kokrak,
Fratelli.
Zalatoris, and Fratelli.
I was going to take Bryson in this, even though I took Fratelli in the first round. I don't know what you guys are at with that, but
Yeah, so it's Bryson regardless of those three, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got Bryson in there. Now we have another split. We have Answer versus either Morikawa, Homa, or Herschel.
I took Answer.
We got Answer, but he's got to play either Morikawa, Homa.
Well, no, I know. I took Answer in this round.
You took him to win this round.
I did.
Okay, I took Morikawa to win the round. What about you, Guru?
Guess I'm the tiebreaker, huh?
Answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Morikawa then.
Oh,
All right, so we got Morikawa winning that round. Okay, let's go to the other side. Now we've got Justin Thomas versus Jordan Spieth. We'll start with pro.
Spieth. No doubt.
Guru?
This is going to happen. This matchup will happen.
Well,
and
I'm taking Spieth because I had Kuchar, so
The next round is the juicy one, boys.
Oh my God! So I gotta. Oh, this is killing me here. So, all right. So you both went Spieth, and that means I got to. Oh,
you had him in the finals or something, didn't you?
It sounds like it doesn't matter what you do.
yeah. But we're doing this as a show for everybody, so whatever. So Spieth beats Justin Thomas. Okay, let's go. We got Cantley versus Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed.
I got
this
Cantley.
gives us Spieth Reed, boys. This gives us Spieth Reed. That's what we want.
Well, it's lining up that way. All right, we got Jason Day versus Rory McIlroy.
Jason Day.
I'm going to say Jason Day as well.
What the hell?
It's on my sheet, man. I wrote it out.
Okay, Day's in. All right, so now we got Berger and Rahm.
I got Rahm.
All right, I got Rahm. Okay, so now let's just keep it right there. Jason Day versus John Rombo.
I got Rahm.
I gotta say bye, Day. Hello, John Rahm.
Me too, Rahm. But Day made a good run to get to that round. Patrick Reed versus Jordan Spieth.
I'm going Spieth.
Sorry, my man. It's where we break apart.
That's fair. It was good. It was a good run there.
It was a good run.
I appreciate
I'll take
it.
Patrick Reed. He's got a pretty good head-to-head record versus Spieth and outscoring him and stuff like that. And I think
Dave, do the right thing, Dave.
But I took Spieth. And
he did the right thing. See, there you go.
Right thing, Dave. Thank you.
Off of you. So we got Spieth and Rahm as the two of the final four there. All right, the other side. Let's go with Answer or Morikawa. No, it's Answer. No, it's Morikawa versus Bryson.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Bryson. I originally had Answer, so I'll go with Bryson.
Guru.
That's a. I had Bryson on the sheet, but you know what? Since you did me dirty with Patrick Reed like that, let's go some Morikawa, man.
I got Morikawa.
All
right. Now we got DJ versus Paul Casey. I think that could be a little tougher matchup than
Notice, no hesitation. Paul Casey.
Yeah, I'm Paul Casey too.
Paul Casey. I'm in the minority. We're going with Casey, but I think DJ wins that match. All right, here we go, boys. Paul Casey, Colin Morikawa.
Paul Casey.
I'm on Morikawa. You guys really like Casey. Okay, Spieth and Rahm.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. That's okay. You know where I'm going, so it's up to Dave really at this point.
I'll take John Rahm.
Oh, you're getting off the wagon now?
Yeah, I'll take John Rahm.
All right, so it's John Rahm.
I don't want to get off the wagon. I just think that it's super homer of me to take chalk Jordan Spieth all the way to the finals. Although I think it could happen, but I do like John Rahm's going to be my pick.
Okay, Casey and Rahm in the championship. Heads up.
It's boring, but I'm going to take John Rahm.
John Rahm. Yeah, John Rahm was my pick.
So there you have it. We just did a complete Dell bracket challenge, and we have John Rahm as the winner overall. John Rahm happened to be number 2 in the Guru model, and John Rahm happened to be number 6 in my model, and combined 3rd. So John Rahm is our pick overall. Actually, DJ is the pick overall as far as the rankings, but we're going to go with John Rahm. Quickly, guys, let's talk about some outrights if you have any. I know Justin has a few. I have a few outrights. And then I'll remind everybody about the show tomorrow and about the contest going on today. Outrights. You got any, Guru?
Oh, well, Paul Casey was on my short list for sure. I think he'll go pretty far. I had Jason Day was interesting too, because if he does like I think he could do, and then he gets lucky against Rahm, I think that 45-1 is a decent price too. I think you have to take somebody in that group 15 pile of death, whether it's Fitzpatrick or Connors or Spieth for sure. I think somebody will make a dent from that grouping. Other than that, I would probably find a long shot somewhere in that high 6,000, low 7,000 DraftKings price point, and probably take them. If you like, the group with Brendan Todd, or if you like, Bazine Hatton Group 7 with Bubba and everybody else, or hell, if you want to take Ryan Palmer, go for it. Like you said early on, the big thing is there's going to be an upset. There's going to be a shocker or two somewhere. Hopefully you can get on it. And if you don't have it in your DFS lineup, then hopefully maybe you've got a counterbalance with a outright ticket or a head-to-head matchup or something where you could cash a little bit that way. I think that's a good thing, to have some balance between your DFS and your betting, definitely. So that's probably where I'll focus this week for me.
Okay, and then we'll put our final picks up on Twitter probably tomorrow night because obviously, as everyone, if you don't know when you're watching this show, the WGC starts on Wednesday, not Thursday. Pro, you got any outrights that you're looking at?
Spieth 25-1, shocker. I also like Answer 50-1. Let me take a look here. Sorry,
I 55.
What's that?
I got to answer at 55.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take 55. I also like Sergio at 40-1, and then finally I like Jason Day at 50-1.
Nice. I'm going to go with mine. So we had a couple of guys on Day, and so we're feeling pretty good about some of these. I've got Cantley at 22. I really like what he's doing. I think this course fits him very well, and I think I like him there at 22. He's my lowest. Then I go to Casey, 26. I think we all like Casey, 26-1. Then I jump to Webb. I can't skip Webb at 35. I think he's a very safe bet, 35. And then I go to Scheffler at 50. And then my last one is Answer at 55. And I do have that long shot bonus play, 90-1 plus. My 90-1 long shot is Si Woo Kim. And hey, it's a long shot. I'm not throwing $1,000 on it, but you know what? I'm going to have some fun with it. I just have that feeling, and it's worth a few bucks, and we'll see what happens. But all the official plays will be posted tomorrow night on Twitter, probably after the show when we start talking about Corrales. I want to remind everybody who is watching the show right now, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment who's going to win this week in the WGC match play. And if that player wins, you will be receiving for free, delivered to your house, an autographed photograph of that champion. And so all you got to do is simply type in the comments on the YouTube page who's going to win. And if you're the first one to type that in and he wins, you win.
Just type Spieth.
That's right. But anyway, guys, any closing thoughts on WGC? And I'm sure we're going to be adding some more things tomorrow as we put out some articles and stuff like that. But any closing thoughts, Guru?
No, just take your time when you build. It's probably not one of those weeks where I'd use an optimizer. I'd really kind of look at it because, it's going to optimize based on the information you put in and probably not focus as much on the bracket. So, and you've got a good point. I mean, find the couple of guys you like and then just kind of fill it out from there. I would kind of treat it like a March Madness bracket, to be honest with you. I'd probably have a bracket in front of you, probably figure out the guys that you think will make the final 8 and kind of work backwards, and then see if you can, dig in a sleeper play or something, and then hope that, 3 of the 8 guys, you like go pretty far, and then you get lucky with the sleeper guys you throw in to make the salary fit out.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Pro, what are your final thoughts here?
Yeah, I agree with 100%. DFS is weird this week. Make sure you're picking guys from different groups. Don't be because they're just going to throw the numbers at you. Make sure you're doing your homework. But this is, again, one of my favorites of the year, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. And my final thought is, and we talked about this earlier in the show, there is not a better week in the season to live bet golf. It is going to be a treat. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, everybody's playing. It's a ton of – it's 32 match plays. Live betting is – take a day off and just do it. Even if you just bet a guy. It is so much fun. Live bet this week. Live bet. We all talk about outrights. We talk about straightforward. We talk about all this stuff. Live betting is what you should be doing this week. So if you want to know how, shoot me a message. We'll talk about it. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We wish you all a great, great week. Watch for the final tweets and lineups and info cards that we're going to be pushing out in the next couple of days. And we appreciate you guys so much. And until then, we will see you tomorrow night, 9 o'clock, same time. All right, guys, take care.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to hammercast.com, subscribe, and join the Hammer Nation. Until next time, keep grinding.